Thank you for welcoming us into your headphones. I am Chema.
And I'm Eddie.
And I'm Amanda, reviewing Justice League. This is the rollback.
Quick synopsis. In the aftermath of Superman's death, the world is plunged into turmoil. The new god, Steppenwolf, comes to Earth to complete the invasion that started over 5,000 years ago. In modern times, Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince, aka Batman and Wonder Woman respectively, must assemble a team to combat the forces of this ancient threat. Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, Arthur Curry, aka the Aquaman, and Barry Allen, aka the Flash, all join forces. And in the end, a revived Clark Kent comes in at the 11th hour to save the day to restore hope, and thus proving that friendship was really the only superpower needed.
Cute. That's cute. Did you wrote that?
Yes, I did. I'm really opening for this, man. I'm excited for this. And Amanda, you're a big DC fan or Batman fan, right?
Yes, Batman's my guy. I've been recently trying to get into Superman a little bit more because I don't know, I shoot him down all the time, but I never give him a chance. And so
I recommend American Alien if you have
American
the chance.
Alien.
That was a good one.
I love that
I'm
one.
going to write that down.
Emma, you actually showed it to me.
Yeah, I did. That was it's a good series. We should give some background before we start. This is a team-up movie. It's a team-up superhero movie. So, Eddie, I thought it was a good idea to bring in some reinforcements. So joining us today is my buddy, Amanda Ramirez. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Cool.
Thank you for being here. On Saturday night of all times. Then again, with the virus, what are we all really doing out there in the real world?
This.
Just this.
Just this. Okay, so Justice League. In November 2017, we saw the film. We were all pumped. We were all excited. For some of us, those expectations were met. Eddie was one of them. For some, not so much. That was me. And I got a chance to rewatch the movie last night, just to try to have a fresh perspective. I haven't seen it since the first time that I saw it, and I got to appreciate things that I didn't before, and realize that overall the experience still felt the exact same way. I have the same feeling I felt for it the first time I saw it. I think, while some things have aged well, most of it has not. But then again, I felt the same way towards Man of Steel, felt the same way Batman vs Superman, felt the same way Suicide Squad. This one, I remember, I still considered one of the best of the bunch. I would happily watch this over Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel. But if I had the choice between watching this and Birds of Prey, which I loved this year, I would watch Birds of Prey. I
can appreciate
other that. Than that, other than that, I still consider the film to be quite meh. The meh Avengers, as I like to refer to it.
I mean, just so we're clear, I'm pretty sure Supes by himself would KO the Avengers, but I mean, whatever.
Does any of them have the same name of his mother? Maybe they can.
No, we're gonna jump into that. Actually, no. When we do the review for Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, we're gonna jump into that.
I remember that. I remember when we first did that.
But okay, so let's start with so the film opens with a very grainy video of Superman, talking with some kids and whatnot. I thought it was a nice way to kind of bring him down a little bit more to Earth,
he was already on Earth.
You know what I mean, you asshole. He talks to kids. Hey, what's up, kid? What are you doing? I just saved the fucking building.
Him.
Yeah, exactly.
Him.
Exactly. But then you see the stash.
That lack of stash. The movie starts. We have that introduction with those kids interviewing him, and then it cuts off to a post-death Superman world, and we see what Batman is doing in Gotham City, and we see what Diana Prince is doing, and we start to see something weird that I still don't know if I like or if I don't like. Is there's kind of no introduction. The characters are just thrown at the very start. We show Batman doing Batman stuff. We see Wonder Woman doing Wonder Woman stuff. We see Aquaman doing Aquaman stuff. Immediately, there's almost no introduction to them. It's just if we see it positive, it's the characters are gonna do the talking for us. If we see it negative, I think it shows that there's not a lot of build up to them. That's how I feel. What do you think, Amanda?
I kind of just felt that way in general also, just because for Batman versus Superman, for example, before that we had Man of Steel, and you were able to get familiar with Superman a little bit. We didn't get any of that with Batman. We didn't get any build up. I mean, if you know the character, you're familiar with his backstory already. You get a little bit of that when you see his parents die, but as far as like, I wish it kind of did kind of what they did in the MCU, where everybody kind of gets an individual film, so we get more backstory, because I didn't feel any emotional connection to Barry Allen or his dad, like that scene in the prison. I mean, It should have been more emotional if you know the story of how he becomes the Flash and why his dad is there.
Yeah. I remember before... Sorry, Eddie.
No, go.
I was going to say, before watching this movie, I had binged like the first couple seasons of the Flash show. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of already in the mindset of Barry Allen, so that introduction was good. I mean, I thought it was... I mean, the introduction in the show was good. I felt like I saw the movie and I saw, him visiting his dad and everything, and I was like, okay, I've seen this in the show. It's the same thing. But once again, I had to think of like the everyday watcher, like the person that goes to the movies without knowing like all this backstory, and I can't help think like, will they be confused? Will they like it? Will they not? Is it enough for them? And I think that's the big thing, because that's when you have to balance out. Are you making this movie for the fans, or are you making this movie for like anyone to easily access
box office?
Mm-hmm.
It's for the box office, Chema. It's for the box office.
How much this movie made, by the way? I don't remember.
870 some million dollars. Not enough.
Not enough for.
But to counter both, and you both make fair points. I think there was a point made, like for James Wan. The reason, like Arthur Curry, for example, they don't explore, Atlantis or anything like that, which is a damn shame. But also, it was in part to give James Wan, like, hey, you have the reins for this. We're not going to dive into it because you need to carve out that world. We can't carve it out in 3 minutes and then have you build from that. Like, we're just going to pretend like, it's not there. That's why you barely see any of Atlantis. You just see the little stronghold. Same thing with Barry Allen. From what I understand, their whole thought process is we want to dive into that story when we do the Flash solo film. You're going to get a little bit of it, but when you see the film, it's going to make all the more sense. All you know is, hey, Dad's in jail. I love you, man. And then, they'll dive into it later on, in his solo film, which is it's different. I'm not going to say it's better. I'm not going to say it's a good or better thing to do than Marvel. Yeah. These Marvel comparisons are going to come out throughout the entire film.
I'll try not to. Like, I really don't want to judge films anymore for like what they could be. I want to judge them for what they are. So I really try to not compare this to Marvel, as much as I know it's impossible, since the film itself is putting itself in a position to be compared to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happens when you bring in Joss Whedon. Jesus. They couldn't get James Wan. I mean, he managed to get Fast and Furious 8 like to be good after a tragedy. I'm pretty sure he could have pulled a double and like made Justice League amazing. But
I have a feeling that the only reason they brought in Josh Whedon is because he was already signing to do Batgirl, which he ended up leaving. And
did you ever read his script for a Wonder Woman film?
I heard it was terrible, so I never did.
His version of a Wonder Woman film, get this, would have been not entirely, but for the most part, the focal character wouldn't have been Diana. It would have been Steve Trevor, and through his eyes. That was his idea. So
so Wonder Woman would have been his manic pixie dream girl. Is that what you're saying? Like,
I'm gonna say Joss Whedon probably should just stick to properties that don't have strong female characters. No, he made Buffy.
So
that's
like,
not fair.
Like
that's
Buffy
not fair. But he made Buffy. That's not fair. Yeah, he made Buffy. Fine. Look, I'm just gonna say his writing was shit when it came to the Wonder Woman film.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna depend on the person. I don't know. I feel like since they were like, oh, you've already done like a couple of team up superhero films, you can make another one. And they're just, him and Zack Snyder have very, very different styles, and I don't think they mesh up very well. It's like peanut butter and bacon. Sure, they're both great separate. If you put them together, it might give you a heart attack. And that's.
Wait, have you tried peanut butter and bacon? It's kind of delicious.
I try not to. I'm watching my figure.
Ace loves it. Ace loves. Oh, that's another thing. Hey man, my dog is named Ace after Ace the Bat Hound. Sorry.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, wait, you didn't know that's why he was named Ace?
No.
Yeah, Ace the Bat Hound.
I thought his name was Andres and you were just giving him a nickname.
No, Ace, man. Ace the Bloodhound. God, he's a little chihuahua about like this big, but still.
Okay, so what happens next?
So I want to talk about Amanda. What did you think of the opening action scene with Wonder Woman when she's saving those school kids and whatnot in that museum from them generic terrorists?
I literally just rewatched it today, so I'm trying to remember. Like at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah. It's when she like runs across like each of the school kids and is like blocking everything, and some poor idiot decides to try and butt her in the head with a gun. She just like knocks him out.
That was good.
Well, I mean, the fact that it wasn't memorable, I guess that speaks like about it.
Well, I think I know which part you're talking about. That all the people, like the hostages, are lined up.
Yes,
also rewatched.
Yes, with the bomb.
I also rewatched Wonder Woman today, so it was just like I'm trying to split the films after watching them back to back. They kind of blur together. I think every shot that she does is really nice. I'm also super biased because I just enjoy watching these characters come to life. Like, I can't really complain too much about this movie. I mean, it's not the best, but I still think it's great because it happened. And we don't get enough live action DC films. I watch more of the animated stuff, and I think that's where it's at, and they're really good at it.
Yeah. Speaking of speaking of the animated ones, one of my I've said my piece that there are some things that I don't like about this movie. One shot that I absolutely adore is that scene when they put the bat signal and Batman is standing like on top of a ledge, and they play like the original theme.
They did. From the animated series.
And they play the theme from the animated series, and he's just standing there, and like that's such a. You can. When I was trying to watch the movie again last night, I was trying to like differentiate. Like, okay, this feels like a Joss Whedon scene. This feels like a Zack Snyder scene. That felt like a Snyder scene, definitely. I feel like he's very cinematic, and that scene specifically felt very reminiscent of that Batman the Animated Series intro, where he's just standing and the light is in the background, and I live for scenes like that. I think the animated films are great and the animated series are great, but when you put, and I know the live action films have to be different, they need to, but when you do like little scenes like that, that's I think when the movie gets really magical, in my opinion.
Okay, so Amanda, what did you think of Arthur Curry's introduction? They first meet in the lighthouse. Bruce Wayne has this immaculate beard. He's just like, I hear you can talk to fish.
You can talk to fish.
I thought that scene was really funny because Bruce Wayne kind of goes in acting like he doesn't know what Arthur already looks like. He's talking to these people who live in this town in the middle of nowhere, acting like he doesn't know who Aquaman is, and letting Aquaman talk like, I don't know who you are. So I just thought it was really funny, and their dynamic is interesting because they poke fun at each other throughout the entire film. It's like, oh, so you're really dressed like a bat, like that's your thing, like that's
I can dig it.
Actually,
and then he's like,
yeah.
okay, I guess.
Like, okay.
I can dig it. That actually brings up one of the things that I find very strange about the movie, and it's right after that scene when they talk in the bar, and then they're walking, and he gets into the water and he takes off his shirt, and we all forget what they're saying for a second, and then finally, and then they're walking by people, and he's like, "Don't talk to me, Batman," and he's saying that in front of other people.
Yeah.
And
it's like, okay. All right. Well,
maybe it's a bit of a Smallville situation where it's like they all know, but everyone just shut the fuck up about it.
I don't know. And then also the people in that town know what Arthur Curry looks like, and he doesn't wear a mask or anything. So if they see him later, if they see a man coming to the town and talking to him like, "Hey, join me. I'm joining with these other people," and then they see him like, "Hey, there he is with other people." Hey, that's the same guy that came to talk to us. like not a great plan in hiding your identity there, Bruce. Not great.
He had the beard, and he has generic old man beard. I mean, that's probably enough.
He shaves right after, so they can't recognize his chin. Like,
boom, done.
It's
well,
true.
Also, I mean, who's gonna believe these people from this place that like no one knows how to find? I mean, oh yeah, totally. Batman was out there in the middle of Norway.
Cool. Can I bring up one of my favorite factors in this film, which is Alfred?
He's hilarious.
I love this Alfred. This is probably my favorite Alfred in movies. He has some of the best one-liners. Like there's a scene where he's with Diana in the Batcave, and she manages to like link up with Cyborg, and he goes like, "Looks like you have a date, Miss Prince." Finally, at least someone here does. And like, I don't know, he's got great lines, and I really like this Alfred.
There was one line that made me crack up in BBS where what does he say? Like, you know, when you're all children. Yeah, right. He just walks off. To Batman, what is it? Oh yeah, if you keep drinking this much wine, there won't be any left for the next generation of Waynes. Not like there'll be another generation of Waynes.
Just like the things he says under his breath. Also, when he picks at Bruce for like not calling Diana himself. It's like, well, you have her number. It's like, well, I'm just interested in her skill set. He's like, sure, yeah,
sure.
just the skill set.
The raw sexual tension of Batman. I didn't like that, actually. I didn't. I liked them more as like platonic friends.
They were very platonic. I mean, they didn't really do anything. Weirdly enough, I think their dynamic in this film is one of the things that I like the most. It's very. I like their back and forth. I like how sometimes he like steps out of bounds and like mentions Steve Trevor. I like how her response is a good back and forth. I like their back and forth in this film. There was a little bit of sexual tension, but they always had. They had in the animated. It was kind of always there. Remember that episode when they made him sing?
Oh yeah, no, I still watch that one sometimes.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, that's one of the things I didn't. Well, I guess we'll get to it. I'll talk about it when we get to that scene. I'm actually going through just like as we're talking and fast forwarding through, so I know what scene or like at what section. We already talked about Barry Allen's daddy. Oh,
the Flash introduction, which I remember when I first saw it in the trailer, was one of my favorite things about the whole trailer. I like how he catches the Batarang. I really like Ezra Miller. I really like him since I saw him in the Perks of Being a Wallflower, and when we talk about Kevin, he's a great actor, and I really like him as a Flash too. And there's just again one little like I try not to nitpick, but there's just a lot to nitpick in this one. There's one scene, there's that scene specifically where he throws the Batarang and he speed forces out and like catches it. I always had like the doubt, what if he was wrong and that wasn't the Flash? What if he wasn't, and
Look, man, he already has a body count. Does he really care?
No, but like, does he call Alfred and be like, "Hi, it happened with another orphan. Sorry, I did it again." Like,
Alfred, we have another one.
I don't know.
Make more room in the dead body room, sir. I thought you told me to seal that room. Did you? No. I knew this was gonna happen. I had better expectations of you, sir.
Because look, there's one of the more haunting scenes in Batman vs Superman is the fact that he still has Robin's like uniform in the Batcave, and there's a scene where he like looks at it and kind of like just memorize, just like does like a little scene with it. Very quiet, nice scene in my opinion, but I kind of thought there was gonna be like a little bit of follow up in this, and there wasn't. So I don't know if maybe he might do a comparison of that with Flash, maybe see him as a young mentor since he's picking him up and everything, but there wasn't really much of that here. I thought it was like a missed
mentor him a little bit throughout the film. Like what was that scene? I've never done battle. Yeah, he's like, I've never done battle before. Like I know you guys have never done that. Save one, and then what? You'll know what to do. Okay, and sure enough, Barry. Yeah. But before that happens, after. In between the Flash's introduction and whatnot, we get to see our first look at Cyborg.
Oh yeah.
And Ray Fisher, I thought he did a great performance given the limited screen time he had and the limited lines he had and what he had to work with. I think it was good. I think it was like a Frankenstein-esque, I'm a monster, but it's not just, I'm a monster. It's look at my face, like look at my body. I'm a monster. He wasn't just some brooding teenager. I mean, there's a reason why his code name is Cyborg.
Yeah. I love his voice. The
silkiest voice in the DCEU by far.
What do you think of the Cyborg introduction, Amanda?
I thought it was cool, but I had noticed some inconsistencies, I think, when with Batman versus Superman. There's that scene where Bruce finally gets all that data on the metahuman files, and there's a clip where they show Cyborg briefly, and it's like half of it is his head, part of his head is missing, and then only a chunk of his torso is shown, and then there's like no legs at all. But when you go into the Justice League one and they show that clip again, he's got like way more torso, like down to like his hips at least at this point, and then just his below the knee is missing. And I was just like, oh, something happened here. But that's all I could think about was like the inconsistency in that little clip, because he's not as much man and machine.
I hadn't noticed that.
Man, that's impressive actually.
I just rewatched everything this past weekend. That's why I started from Man of Steel and moved down because I completely forgot everything.
What'd you guys think of the bit of a grr relationship he has with his father? Because one of the lines, I think my favorite line from Cyborg this whole film, he had a lot of good parts, a lot of good lines. He was funny, but I think the thing that made me go, damn, I never thought about it like that, was when he says, have they seen the monster? And his dad says, Victor, you're not a monster. Victor turns back and says, it's funny, you thought I meant me. Like, damn, yeah. Like that is a complicated relationship to have with your father. And just like how he feels on the inside. I mean, imagine that. Like, all-star scholar, football, pro athlete, genius IQ, and then accident. Oh, so this is me now.
Reminded me of that scene from Teen Titans, where from the original animated one, where him and
Starfire, I think it was.
Yes, I can't believe I forgot it. Him and Starfire are talking about like terms and how they refer and everything, and I don't know. There's kind of like a weird thing with Cyborg always of like, is he more machine now that he's a person? And the relationship that he has with his dad, I think, is probably the most developed in this film. And I don't know. I did enjoy. I did like their interaction. I think that those like 2-3 scenes they have, especially when he goes and rescues him from the sewers. He doesn't stop. The dad doesn't stop him. He goes like, "We'll get out of here. You keep going." He doesn't. He's not like concerned for him. He kind of almost wants him to like go forth and do something incredible, which is great. That's a great supporting great job supporting that. But I don't know. I like those scenes. I wish there were more scenes like that. For the record, my favorite line that Cyborg says in the film is "Booyah," of course. That's
when he says the line.
It's like you gotta turn to people and be like, he said the line. Like it happened. Like this was worth the ticket price.
Yep, I kind of wish they had saved him for the Teen Titans films later on, but I'll save that.
Will there be a Teen Titans film later on?
I mean, if they continue in the direction that they're going, I hope so. Like, hey, Justice League might be dead, but you know what team-up movie we haven't done yet? Titans. But okay, so after... No, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
What?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something, Jose.
No, I kind of like spaced out for a second, sorry. Yeah, it's just that the seeing the time limit is kind of like distracting me.
So the next thing...
Flash introduction. Flash introduction.
Flash, yes. Yeah. Which one did you like? Which scene did you like? Well, I liked both, but also I thought it was fun how the first time we see the Flash when he's visiting his dad, you just see his powers go like that, like when he marks the guy's face and whatnot. Just in our time, we see it, and then the second time with Batman, we see it from Flash's point of view, where everything is slow. You see the lightning everywhere, and he's just like, God,
like the reaction, yeah.
Which I thought that was... Sorry. No, I kind of liked it. What did you guys think?
To me, the first time that you see the Speed Force coming out of him, when it comes out blue and everything, it kind of freaked me out because, like I said, I had the memory of the show, and his Speed Force is shown like as yellow, and when you see Speed Force that's blue, that's the other guy, that's Zoom, and then that becomes like a big fight. So you see like the blue Speed Force, and it's like evil and stuff. So when you see this blue Speed Force in the movie, I got like a little like evil flashback and stuff.
Some
I really like his introduction though. I like the scene where he comes and he's got like the lab and he's got all the TVs and he's got like a K-pop group in the background and he's got like Rick and Morty in the background and he's got like all that, and I like his energy. One of my favorite comments that someone made was that I could never like pinpoint specifically what kind of humor Ezra Miller is doing in that film, and then someone said he's basically Jason from The Good Place. If you've seen that show.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's basically Jason from The Good Place as a superhero, and I had that thought when I was rewatching it last night, and I could just picture him going like, "Yeah, homie," like he just. It was really funny, and I like that introduction. I like when they're leaving, and he's got like the big pizza box, and they get into the car, and he goes like, "What are your superpowers again?" And he just goes like, "I'm rich." Like that's those are great scenes.
So Amanda, quick question. I know you just recently saw the Wonder Woman film, and so the next scene is Steppenwolf going to Themyscira to take the first mother box, and you see like the Amazons are all out, ready to go. Like they're ready for war. They're prepped to go. Because you also saw the Wonder Woman film. What do you think of all that? Like, do you think like they kind of met the expectations of what the Amazons are, up here? Do you think it was, bad call, bad form? What do you think about it?
I thought it was a really cool scene where they all kind of like circle around him. But I kind of was disappointed, I think, in, what's her name? Diana's mom?
Queen Hippolyta.
Yes, I was kind of disappointed that she didn't kick more ass, honestly. I just feel like if she's the queen, right, she should be able to own a little bit more, and he kind of breezed through there. Like they were already expecting the box to do something because the mother box had not been activated at all, and it just like 1 second to the next it like flipped the switch and out here he comes. He was outnumbered obviously, but I guess that's the difference between God and just Amazonian, and that's Diana's advantage, that she's both. So the God in her is able to kind of hold up a little bit more. Yeah. That
would have been cool, actually. I didn't consider that. I'm not imagining Hippolyta being able to hold him off, even if it's not like for like not even a minute. But if she had been able to like go back and forth with him just for like 30 seconds, it would have said like, oh damn, Diana's mom can go.
Yeah.
And that's why I think when you see that flashback scene when Steppenwolf first attacks and you see the Amazons joining forces with the Atlanteans, and then even you see a little quick shot of a Green Lantern Corps fighting among them. I think those scenes could have done like something more if they had lasted longer. I wish now that you mentioned it, I hadn't considered it. Putting Queen Hippolyta in that scene like at the very forefront would have been pretty cool.
So real quick, one last thing about this Amazon scene. I love how hard they fight, even though it's futile. Because you see, like, he's owning all of them. Like, it takes 8 of them to hold him back, and he's still almost about at the mother box when they manage to pull it away. And they're trying and they're fighting. He's overwhelming them, but they never stop. And even at one point, you see their army, the literal cavalry, is coming to fuck him up right before he teleports away. He's like, I'm good for this. I'm good for this one. Bye.
I like that scene when they're running away and they're throwing the box back and forth. I think
that was cool.
I think that I didn't consider how cool that scene was the first time I saw it, and then seeing it last night. Yeah, I mean, and they were not like big characters, but those 3 Amazons that were throwing back and forth, I felt like a good like dynamic between them. I felt like that connection between them that I really like. So we see Steppenwolf rise and get the mother box from the Amazons, and he says one of the lines that ended up having no consequence, and I don't know if it's gonna be for setup or are they just gonna abandon that idea, but he kind of looks to the sky and says, "This is for you, Darkseid." And as far as I know, they haven't like really followed up on that. I don't know if they will, but
I'm sure they will.
I don't know if it was just for the fans or
like zero context. And then the end credit scene with Deathstroke and Lex Luthor, like it was just like another drop, a villain drop. Concept. And we're like, okay.
Well, I mean, I imagine that's what's gonna. I don't think the Legion of Doom are gonna be like the sequel villain. I don't think they're gonna be like the third big bad like Thanos is.
and that's when the Aquaman, Arthur Curry, meets up with Mera, and then that's when they find the box from there, and he basically gets called from them. Like they give him like a little bit of backstory with the thing about his mom that we later see in the movie, and then we see them actually fight for the box, which I think that was like the first time that we see that underwater technology that they were trying to do, and then the letter ended up using in Aquaman. What do y'all think about that scene?
My biggest question was why they needed the air bubble to speak. That I don't remember them doing that in Aquaman. I didn't get to rewatch that today, but I don't think that was a thing in that movie, that they needed an air bubble to speak. I think the only time that they're away from water is when they're hiding in a ship, I think, in Aquaman, and it's to protect themselves.
Yeah. So actually, funny enough, they asked James Wan about that in a follow-up interview. Like, hey, in Justice League they did this. Why did you do it like your way? And he said, you know what? Sometimes you need to just shut up and let it happen. Like it would have been annoying. Imagine they had to do an air bubble every time there was dialogue in Aquaman.
Yeah.
No, they not gonna work. So he just said, no, fuck it. They can talk underwater. Done. It's done. Shut up and let it happen. Don't overthink it. Which, I mean, only DC film to gross over $1 billion. Maybe the man has a point. Shut up and let it happen.
Weird. You know what? I hadn't considered that air bubble thingy was for them to talk. I kind of just thought that was a thing that was there for the box as well. Mm. I guess I kind of didn't make that connection. I kind of thought like, oh, this is a special place because it's keeping this, so it has an air bubble. I don't know. I'm not here to question physics, but I would assume that whenever they would talk underwater, you would see like little bubbles coming out. But that was also not done. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
And you see Arthur for the first time go toe to toe with Steppenwolf, and he's able to hold his own for the most part. I think this film did a really good job of making Aquaman not a bitch, more or less a badass. You know, I know there were plenty of people there. I don't mind saying this. There were plenty of people, a good friend of mine who was there watching with us included, that were there just for the Jason Momoa without a shirt scenes.
He wasn't the only one.
That's fair.
No, I mean, I don't want to say that there's a reason why that's the only film that grossed over $1 billion, but you know,
it helped.
I'm saying it was there.
It was a factory. Drago got to do Drago.
It was a contributing factor. So they take the box. So he takes the box, he leaves, and then they need to find the man-hidden box, as they call it. And that's when we finally start to see the league, I guess, start to join together, and we're introduced to another one of my little favorite things about the movie, and that's J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon. Yes, he's in it for like 10 minutes, maybe less, but
not even maybe like a minute.
I love that. I love that man. I love that man so much.
He has a hell of a mustache.
That's a great mustache. I don't know. I love him as because I know we're supposed to like him because of Spider-Man, but to me he's Juno's dad, and to me that's like I will always remember him as that, just like as Juno's dad. So it's that he's cool in like the scene that he's in. I like the quick shot that we got to see of like Gotham PD department, of like how it looks inside and how it's terrible and how it's full with like criminals. Mm-hmm. And then he goes up, he pulls in the bat signal, and everyone suits up, shows up, and a little quick. That's where the great scene with like him and the original theme music playing, and then they do that little quick humor scene with like everyone leaving, and then the Flash just standing there like, oh, they left.
That's so rude.
That's rude.
Back.
Because like you would assume he would go as well, but I think that charisma he carries of like kind of like a lost kid of like, okay,
he's like the new guy. Like they're all new, but he's like the new guy.
He's the rookie. He's the legit rookie. Although I guess, okay, wait, Batman's the grizzled veteran. Wonder Woman is the veteran, and then I guess the Flash is like the new kid. But what's Victor Stone?
Also new, but
he's like that new kid that's got it already.
Yeah, no,
natural talent.
Yes. Yeah. What if they? So next scene is when their team is kind of forming up. They go into the sewers of Gotham Harbor. As Steppenwolf is interrogating people at Star Labs that have had some degree of, like, you know, they've seen the box. At one point, this is a scene that I actually really liked, that I caught on the very first time. I was like, they're trying to make him terrifying. I see it. When he's holding up a man, and he's like, please, please, we have families. And he says, why does everyone keep telling me that? Like, how do you humanize yourself to someone that's a monster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when he picks up Victor's dad, he says, like, finally, someone that doesn't call, something like that. So someone that doesn't complain or something.
Yeah.
Someone with courage, something like that. And then he goes like, okay, you will not like whine, like, but you will scream or something like that. It's kind of a cool line.
Yeah.
And then you get to see like the League like join up for like the first time and start. I like this scene. I like the sewer scene. I like the action. I like that big. I don't know what that Batman.
The Nightcrawler.
The Nightcrawler. I like that one. It was like a big beetle. I like how Alfred is involved in that too. How he's basically controlling it, which leads to another funny exchange with Cyborg taking over that thing and being able to move it and being like, "All right, Alfred, I'll take it from here." And he goes like,
"Do I know you?"
Yeah. Like doing it. Yeah, I like that scene. I like also how they show like the dynamic of the Flash as, you know, a little nervous, and Snyder has a great like visual style, and I really like Josh Whedon dialogue, but for some reason that scene that had no dialogue really worked. So we see them fight. We see Aquaman finally joining them. Quick scene. I remember the first trailer, the one that came out at Comic-Con, like full 2 or 3 years before the movie came out. They had like this quick scene of a Cyborg going up to Batman and telling him like, "I'm real when it's useful." And then that scene is not in the movie. So you have that scene. Steppenwolf actually ends up taking the box, but Aquaman ends up joining them right as the harbor breaks, which leads to another great scene where we see like a little bit of water coming out, and they go like, "Where are we again?" It was like the harbor, and then that's when
well, you see the Nightcrawler launch a missile at Steppenwolf, and he just catches it like, "You and your toys."
Yeah.
Just like, trying to be as menacing as possible, which I think he succeeds to some degree. I kind of wish he had done the Abomination thing, where he grabs the missile and is just like, "Are you kidding me?" Hits it against himself and it explodes. He's like, "What else you got? Come on."
I don't know. Part of my thing with Steppenwolf is that he's just kind of there. Part of me is like, I wish he looked better. He looks like a villain in a video game, and not even a PS4 video game. He looks like a PS3 video game villain. Like he looks something out of the Dante's Inferno video game. It's I don't know. It's a little disappointing. I felt like, I don't know if they were like, okay, we have all this budget to make Steppenwolf look amazing, and then Henry Cavill walks in with his mustache and is like, "Good morning," and they're like, "Oh
fuck,
damn it!" like that's where it's going.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, the post-production was rushed because they were trying to hit that November deadline, and because of the reshoots, they were already stuck trying to, like, imagine trying to edit a film in compressed time, where not one but 2 of the main characters are 90% CGI, and Cyborg and Steppenwolf. And who do you prioritize, Cyborg or Steppenwolf?
Yeah, that's one of the sad things about it, because like I wish Steppenwolf looked better. I wish Cyborg looked better. He looks good sometimes, but sometimes a little stilted. Like
a little janky, right? A little too sharp. Janky.
Yeah, it helps that it's weird because when the movie ends and you see like this little you see like quick scenes of everyone, and you see him like his design looks like it's finally finished and looks more complete, more armor, and I don't know. I know that's probably why they put it at the end, but that's how I wish he looked the entire film. Yeah.
Well, supposedly it was a conscientious artistic decision to make him look like janky, like disassembled, like he's sharded, like shredded. I don't know the exact phrase I'm trying to find here, but it was a conscientious decision to be like, okay, once he starts actually trying to learn how to use his powers, he can control them more. His jagged look is to look uncontrolled, which you see it. Like it happens a few times where like his powers just flare up. Like like Pet Cemetery, which we'll talk about in a minute.
No, just because look, there's a scene where like more ahead where Steppenwolf like breaks his leg and like throws it like a toy almost. And when I saw that scene, I felt it. I felt really like, and then you see him standing. So I guess they like reassemble him. I think they do show that, but they made a good job in making him feel like he's there. So when he gets broken, I did feel it. I was like, oh shit. Like it did. I did make a feel like that. What do you think, Amanda?
I think there is that scene where I think it's Batman. That's the one that puts Cyborg's leg back together.
Yeah, he's like trying to put his parts.
Yeah, I do wish that he had more screen time, but I guess at this point they're gonna obviously favor the big bad over one character from the team. But I didn't really think of that as far as like how his the machine parts of him look jagged, and then as his character develops more, he starts to get more put together. I didn't really notice that until you brought it up, so that's really cool, because that scene with Pet Cemetery, he still has no control of that part of him, and I think it's a lot for him to take in, because he's got all this like different languages in him that he hasn't processed completely.
Yeah. So, quick question, Amanda. Did you have a chance to check out that fight scene real quick?
Yes, I did, and I feel like he didn't do anything.
Yes. Okay.
Now that I've reviewed it, Batman didn't do anything. There's that one scene where the Flash is doing his thing. He finally gets comfortable, and he is gonna go. I think it's before he taps the sword for Diana to actually reach and like be able to hit Steppenwolf, but the Flash trips or is gonna trip or not complete his step, and Batman comes in and takes him up with a cable or something, and he saves him. And I feel like that's all I've seen of him, like during the scene.
Yeah.
If he's not in the car, he's saving the Flash, and that's it. He doesn't really.
Yes. Okay. So there's a reason I brought that up. There was a scene that was released, like test footage that was released of that same fight scene where he's fighting parademons. But bear in mind, it's a test scene with stunt actors just to kind of show like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And it shows him using the grapple guns and fighting more and like doing like all this stuff. It's like a minute-long scene of him like fighting the parademons. And then they show the side-by-side comparison of where the scene begins and ends, the Joss Whedon version. Where they didn't do all that fight scene, all that choreography because, well, it's expensive. But also, I don't think Whedon gets... Like, Batman is not just a smart guy that can brawl a bit. Like, he doesn't... Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember any of the Avengers, either one of the two Avengers films, having a great one-on-one fist-fight combat scene. They have a lot of great team fighting scenes. I don't remember them going, like, toe-to-toe.
Hulk versus the Hulkbuster? Excuse you?
Well, hold on. I feel like that had a team behind it. I feel like that had a whole team behind it. Versus, like, Whedon being like, this...
This movie this Justice League had a budget of $300 million, and you tell me that they were low on budget for a fight
Look at everything.
Scene?
Look at all the interference, man. I wish I had it for that fight scene. Yes, that was Zack Snyder's idea, and Whedon didn't incorporate it. It was like, dude, trust me, this is gonna look great because he had Zack Snyder's team there, but the team was like, hey guys, check this out. Look at what we did.
$300 million?
Well,
do you know how much $300 million is?
Yes. But look, consider this though. Zack Snyder's team was like, hey, we already filmed this. Look at this. We can incorporate this into the film. And Whedon was like, nah.
He's like, we don't need it.
It wasn't him, actually. It was probably the studio. But you get what I mean. He should have fought for that scene. Like, no, Batman's a badass. Did you see that warehouse scene? Follow up on that shit. Follow up on that shit hard.
I mean, yeah, I guess, what's the thing? Because look, that scene where Wonder Woman is introduced in this one, and she saves those kids and all that. I still think that scene is like gold. Like I love that scene. Yeah, Batman doesn't really have a big scene in this one. I mean, he actually has my least favorite scene in the movie, which is after Superman gets Pet Cemetery. Yeah, like he throws him, and he says, to me, the worst line in the film, where he goes like, "Yeah, something's definitely bleeding."
Yeah, something. Like, okay.
Yeah,
he's too
it's
quippy.
I like Josh Whedon, but you can tell that's a Josh Whedon joke, and I just feel like, oh man, like that's That's not good.
He doesn't entirely get Batman. It's not his fault. Okay, he was like thrust into this. He didn't have time to prepare, but
Yeah.
Batman makes some cool one-liners and quippy things, but
Sure.
he's not always like under his breath, like, "Oh, the pain," or
I know,
yeah, I can
but
fly.
I know, but not that one. And besides, he had his share of bad lines in this. Like, he keeps bringing up like, so do you really talk to fish? Like, the fact that he kept bringing that up, kind of like, okay.
That made me laugh so hard though. Like after Steppenwolf kicks their ass the first time, it's after Pet Cemetery. He asks Aquaman, "Can you send out some feelers? Is it fish or?"
He's like, "It's actually the water. The water talks."
I'll let you know if I get anything. Like, thank you. But okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. After Steppenwolf beats the shit out of him, I believe that's when they go full Pet Cemetery, if I'm not mistaken.
That's immediately when they jump into okay, we need to bring back Superman. They have a quick little fight about is it moral, is it good, should we not?
They have their whole ethics board. Meet up.
Which kind of goes out the window when they're literally digging up the body, which completely unnecessary scene that I completely love.
Cyborg and Flash are digging up Superman's dead body, like they're grave robbing Superman's body, which is a weird ass sentence. Yes.
And then they go like, and then Flash just like, okay, not ready for that.
Not yet. You gotta earn it. But no, I think this is the one Whedon thing that I saw in this film that I could like was blaring at me that I really did not like. Like literally, I'll take all the other weaknesses. I'll take the quips. I'll take the funny dialogue, the fighting, some of the shots, the color. I'll take all that. Even some of the admittedly flawed writing and scenes that were cut. The one thing that bugged the crap out of me was when they're arguing about bringing back Superman, and Bruce kind of pushes Diana a bit and says, "Oh, did Steve Trevor tell you that?" Like, that felt very out of character to me. That's the one time where I'm like, no, bullshit, you wouldn't do that.
It's like forced conflict.
Yeah, which I didn't like. I get it. Like, in the helipad, in the helicarrier, Avengers had a conflict, going back and forth, but it felt like it was ingrained in their character that they were going to fight because they have different ideals. They had an entire goddamn film about Captain America and Iron Man's different philosophies on how to superhero.
And
Don't force conflict here.
No, but you know why the forced conflict doesn't work here? Because we don't know these characters enough. They haven't had their own film.
Fair, that's true.
I mean, Wonder Woman has. Batman had half of a film, or 3/4 if you want to count Batman vs Superman as one. I mean, I always say Batman vs Superman is 3/4 Batman, 1/4 Superman. I mean,
you get the Ultimate Edition.
Oh, I mean, look. I rewatched Batman vs Superman, and this is what Clark Kent does the entire film. They don't like me. Like, that's all he does. The entire film.
I will argue with you about that when we get to BVS.
The whole film is just him looking at news and going, "They don't like me." Oh, you're in the tub, Lois. I'll jump in. Like it's weird. And
we'll argue with you about that when we get there.
Just sad boy vibes.
Yeah,
he's just giving sad boy vibes the entire time. And I don't know. So they go. They decide that they're gonna do it. And then they go, they pick up the dead body, and then, which is, admittedly, again, unnecessary scene. Totally love that it's there. Yeah, they jump into, they get into the ship, the Krypton ship, and then they throw his body into the thing. They realize that the box doesn't have enough power, so Flash needs to power it up, and then it works. Like, they actually end up bringing back Superman. They keep back the little, like, it's not gonna, because even Aquaman is like, it's not gonna work, and then same
or
thing
it's gonna go south.
Yeah, and that's when they start mentioning Pet Cemetery. Then so he comes out, Henry Cavill comes out, and he's there. He's beautifully chiseled, and he's wearing pants, and yeah, it leads to one of a scene that I did not expect to see, but that was kind of cool. Was just like to remind us how strong Superman is, and we see him like trying to stop him and all that. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on that scene.
Already when he goes to the monument.
Yeah, like the monument scene, like it's surrounding that. You go first.
Yeah.
I really like that entire dynamic. I immediately knew what was going to happen. Like, I think the first time that I saw it, when I noticed that Batman wasn't there, I'm like, oh, this guy went to go get something because he already knows he messed up. Like, he knows
he done goofed and he done goofed bad.
In his bones, he knows this is a bad idea, but he also knows that this is the only way that they'll have a standing chance, right? That my favorite part of that scene, I think, is when the Flash is like, oh, I got this, and he like runs, and you just see Superman's eye just like follow him really slowly and really creepy. Like, he's like, what? And then you just see Ezra Miller's face fall. Like,
just like terrified, just like, oh god! But you see like one eye gets bigger and one eye gets smaller, just like...
It's like he was not expecting him to see him at all, and he just doesn't know how to react, and he just crashes into the monument like, fuck.
Yeah. I remember when this is a scene that I was mentioning, when we saw this in theaters, like you were giggling like a kid on Christmas high on crack. Like you were just laughing.
It was our mariachi laugh.
Yeah, like
it was a mariachi laugh.
Yeah, and like people in the theater were like turning like, what is this kid like? What is going through this kid's head? And I remember because I was sitting next to you, and then your wife was sitting on the other side, and we were both like, are you hamming this up or are you being for real? But oh god, it was really special to watch. It was, I don't know, because like every time that we see a DC movie and we talk about it, I always say the same thing. I don't love it, but I'm so glad you love it. You know, like it's not for me, but I'm so glad it's for someone, you know?
Yeah.
So, but you took it to the extreme in that moment. I think,
I thought it was so hilarious. His face, his delivery, it broke me. It broke me in the best way. I couldn't stop laughing. Because I guess from beginning to end, one, it shows you how OP Superman is. Like, bear in mind, in the comics, Aquaman can slug it out with Superman to some degree. But like he's just so overpowered. Just catches the trident, catches Wonder Woman's sword, and then like Cyborg tries pushing him. All three of these like demigod characters with unbelievable strength that can toss tanks and destroy buildings. Three of them cannot restrain Superman. They can't. Like, good luck. Try. And then it's like, oh, Speed can do it. Nah, get over it, kid. But
you see Batman try and he gets thrown. Almost immediately he like remembers.
Yeah, like, he's like, I remember you. But God, there was one part in the scene where when Wonder Woman, he starts going towards Batman, and Wonder Woman gets in between him. She's like, don't make me do this. And bear in mind, I love Wonder Woman. I genuinely love the character. I love Gal Gadot. The movie was great. I just thought in the back of my head, you thought. You thought. You
really thought.
And when she headbutts him, and he's just like, oh, okay. Picks her up, headbutts her so hard into the floor that there's an imprint of her body, and she like can't get up. She's like, oh, what did I just do? You thought you could stop me. You done goofed, kid. Stay down.
I think one of the most interesting parts of that scene is that Wonder Woman refers to him both Kal-El. As Clark and as Kal-El, like trying to appeal to every aspect of him, to trying to make him like, not, I was gonna say normal, but like to make him like understand, remember like as soon as possible. Like you can tell that she'll throw down if necessary, but she will try to make like this as diplomatic as possible first. And
it's not her first resort.
Yeah, and that's what I think is one of the most unspoken cool things about this movie, that you can tell that she's been through so much conflict, and she knows that, you know, punching is not the first thing to do. It will work eventually, but I like how she tries to appeal to that humanity, which ends up working when Bruce brings in Lois.
The big gun.
Do you remember though the thunderous ovation? Amanda, when did you watch Justice League? Like, did you see it in the theater on the premiere or when?
I think I might have saw it. It was probably the second week it was in theaters.
Okay, so you might have gotten the same pop. For those who don't know, in wrestling terminology, a pop is a massive reaction from the audience.
You say this on every episode.
Anytime I'm going to use a wrestling terminology, I'm going to like give the definition. But okay, the theater popped when Superman held Batman up by the face, not the neck, by his chin.
He's like,
no. When he gets up to me and he says, "Tell me something," and he like just goes and goes, "Do you bleed?" The whole theater lost their shit. Like, you thought it was bad when I was laughing? No, the whole theater lost their shit when that happened.
I remember. It was weird because it gained more traction here than it did in Batman vs Superman. Like, I saw more. Granted, I saw Batman vs Superman like a week and a half, or maybe 2 weeks. No, like I remember I saw it with you, but it was like your third time or something.
Yeah. I really liked it.
I remember we walked out and it was like quiet, and then he was like, "So what do you think?" I'm like, "I'm quiet." And then we the first step out of the theater, I'm like, "I didn't like it."
Yeah, like that's fine, you douche.
But again, I will keep repeating it. I told you this with Batman vs Superman. I told you this with Justice League. I told you this with Aquaman. I told you this with Joker. I'll keep telling you this as long as I don't like one of these movies. I don't love it. I'm so glad you do, because I know how much you love these characters. So if they don't work for me, I'm glad they at least work for someone that really, really loves the characters.
Thank you.
So it doesn't erase the fact that I don't love this.
Fuck you, that's fair.
I'll repeat, I love Birds of Prey. I really like that one. I really like Birds of Prey this year. The next Suicide Squad looks like it's gonna be really good too. So we'll see about that.
God, I hope it's gonna be amazing. And Wonder Woman 1984. I'm seeing that premiere. I will wear an entire suit if I have to. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna watch that shit in the theaters with my popcorn and my big oversized soda and all my candy. I have not missed a DC film. I've not missed a premiere yet.
Do you remember when we went to see Wonder Woman like on the opening night, and we saw like all these little girls dressed as Wonder Woman, but like all the different versions, like to the most recent ones? Like, that was cool.
That was so nice.
Okay,
so let's leap forward a bit.
Yeah. So Clark gets Lois. They go back to the farm. Superman reunites with his mother, which
it's a nice emotional scene. A bit like you see her crying. She's like, "Mom, okay." Like,
Yeah. Do you remember that scene? I don't remember if it was from an animated show or an animated movie, but it was like Superman and his mom, and the mom is like, "Are you okay? You look skinny. Are you okay?" And he goes like, "Mom, I'm Superman." And she goes, "And I'm your mother."
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of wanted to see a scene like that in this movie, and it was emotional. It was nice. I'm honestly surprised that the fact that, so we make fun of this and everything, but the fact that they had the same mother was the thing that made them stop fighting in the other film.
I'm correct you on that later on.
Okay, I'm surprised the big gun in the movie was Lois and not the mom. You know?
I'm absolutely not.
Okay.
Surprised. I feel like I think that's probably why I've had trouble like getting to like him as a character, not just in the DCEU, but like in the animated ones. I just feel like every time he dies, it's very much like, just bring Lois, and then he'll come back. It's what happens, and that's what happened here. And I feel like initial reactions, maybe somebody who doesn't know the character as much is going to be like immediately like the big gun means he's going to bring out like that kryptonite spear that he had from Batman versus Superman, but I'm like, no, it's Lois, dude. Like, it's gotta be Lois. Like, that's
what if he busts out the old bat suit and he was like, "Hey, round two," or what? Bah! Just he destroys him. Like, nah, there ain't gonna be no round two, son.
So I feel like she brings the humanity out in him more than maybe his parents did. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just like a different aspect of love that he hadn't experienced before. Or...
Well, no, I think it's that, remember, he's an alien. Like, granted, okay, he looks like us, but he is still an alien. He's the last of his kind. So he felt for a long time in his life alone, you know. As good as his parents can be to him, they can't relate to him so far. Like, you even see in Man of Steel, when he's getting bullied, he has to hold it in, and he squeezes the pipe and bends the pipe like it's nothing in front of those bullies because he knows he can't fight. He has to hold it in. He feels isolated and alone. But then there's this one person, the one person that's like, he's not Superman, or, you know, he's not. Everyone else will look at him like a god, like a savior, you know, for everyone. And she's like, no, that's just Clark. That's my husband. That's my fiance. That's we have breakfast together. We, watch TV or whatever. Like, it's those things. She makes him normal. She makes him more human than anything else. She is his humanity.
Okay, so I'm very you know me. I have very limited knowledge on Superman. I mean, mostly from the American Alien, mostly from. I used to be a very big Smallville fan. I really like that show. But I don't know. I guess I'm very, very defensive with like liking Superman. I guess I like the original Donner films. I like how classic they feel. But I don't know. I guess my appeal was always I like teenage, kind of lost, coming of age Clark Kent, but full, strong, invincible Superman is very, very hard to relate, and that's why I guess it's so hard for me to get into him. But yeah, that's why I made the comparison of I thought the big gun himself would be his mom, since that's what stopped him the last time.
That probably would have made more thematic sense, to be honest, but
yeah.
Fair. Can I give you all a fun fact real quick?
Yes.
So the scene where Superman kind of looks at them and he starts reading their vitals, and we're just like, your adrenaline's spiking, he's scanning us, calm the fuck down. That's actually the original Superman score from the Donner films, but when it's supposed to take an uptake, it goes down to show like that something's not right here. And then when he starts approaching Batman, and it gets distorted again, like something's not right here. I'm the music guy. Yeah. If you hear it, you're like, oh shit, something's wrong. What do you mean? That music, man, something's wrong.
It's like that comic they made of Star Wars, like, oh, Darth Vader is near. How do you know? I hear the background music. I hadn't noticed, and I love the original score. I never noticed that.
Go back and rewatch it. You'll hear the downtake, and then you'll hear the distortion when he goes after Batman.
So he leaves. The League is kind of left. Okay, so he's back. What are we gonna do? But is he on our side? We don't know. That's when they start making the plan, trying to find out the place where he's going to gather all these boxes is in Russia, which brings in another factor that plays a lot in the film. We see this small Russian family during the entire film. We keep cutting back to them. Doing seeing that they're being attacked. Yeah, we're seeing them attacked by the parademons. There's a quick little humor scene where like the little girl brings out like
bug spray,
a can of bug spray, which I thought was funny.
That's weed.
Yeah, that was a weird joke, but I think the fact that the inclusion of that family felt very Snyder, like that felt like a Snyder joke. The only thing that I can compare it to, I hate doing this, but if I'm gonna compare this to the Avengers, it's kind of like that one waitress that keeps popping up during the first Avengers.
Yeah.
And we see her kind of like keep popping up and being rescued, and then at the end we see her on the news. Which, by the way, that waitress is played by the girl who plays Ellie in The Last of Us. So she's awesome. Yeah.
She's way awesome. Too old to be Ellie.
She's like 30 or something. I don't know.
Way too old. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Okay. So anyway, that's how I felt. I felt like maybe that's gonna be like the family. We have to focus on them, and then they're gonna end up paying off, which they did, kind of. Which leads up to probably one of my favorite scenes in the film, but we'll get to that to the very end. So we see them get into this plane, and they're ready. They're heading there. We have like a little scene where they're kind of like giving each other like a pep talk of how they're gonna get there and what they're gonna do. Now that, look, I didn't consider this when watching it the first time or last night, but now that I hear both of you talking about this, I do realize how little Batman does in this. And then here we see him like, okay, he's in the Batmobile. He's gonna start, driving the parademons away. I guess he's finally going to start doing some things here. But they're talking and they're trying to hype each other up. Batman comes out with like this new really cool suit, and then we have one of the strangest scenes in the movie, which is when we get Aquaman's soliloquy of I'm afraid to die. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm so happy that I'm here with people. And
I'm young. You're like, gorgeous. God.
You're gorgeous. And I don't know.
It's just the lasso of truth.
Yeah, and then you see he's sitting in the lasso of truth, and I don't know. It's just like I was confused for like the whole scene. I was like, what is happening? Because I'm used to seeing this guy in like Game of Thrones and all that, where he's like this big, very stoic man, and then we see him breaking down pretty much, and I was very concerned, and then that's the big reveal that it was the lasso of truth. That was, and I don't know, I like that scene. I like what the Flash is doing in there, and then that cool reveal when like the ship opens and we see them all walk out to a place with red sky. I guess that's the stereotype for Russia. They have a red sky.
No, I think that's supposed to be an ode to Apocalypse, which is all red, which they're trying to some degree terraform the planet into a new apocalypse, into the next apocalypse.
Okay. Okay, so they walk in, and then Batman immediately goes to move all the parademons away, and then the whole plan is that they're gonna go in after him, and then we see, and then the big fight scene, the big scene finally kicks in. What do you think about that scene?
Sure. Okay. So, well, remember though, that scene starts off with, "I'm going to clear the path. You guys go in and stop everything because you guys are the ones with the actual powers."
He's rich.
Yeah, and that's it. But so he clears the way, but at one point, it's basically a suicide mission because the parademons are after him. And as badass as the legendary Batmobile is, parademons. They're closing in on him. They're about to kill him, and then out of nowhere, Wonder Woman knocks two off, and then Aquaman goes, and so does Flash, and then even Cyborg's like, "You're welcome." And I don't remember who said it. I think it may have been Cyborg or Aquaman. He says that this isn't the plan, and then one of them says, "Hey, don't look at us. The lady told us. The lady told us to help you out. You know." And it's like, oh, they reconcile.
Oh yeah, I forgot about one scene when they're arguing about bringing back Superman, and he pushes her, she pushes back. I like how there's this quick little quip of Flash where he goes, "You know that we'll support her.
You know that we'll cover her if she murders you. We'll cover her.
Like, you know, we'll cover for her." I really like that scene. So he's in the Batmobile. He's got this weird like sunglasses, and he's driving the parademons away. And that's when we start to see the actual fight start to come in. We start to see him fight. We see Steppenwolf joining the boxes, and we see Cyborg trying to also dispel them. And that's when we get Superman to return. And how do I explain this? This is a terrible thing to bring up, but like, and because I shouldn't care, but where did he find his suit? Did they ever mention that?
Deleted scene. Yeah, he goes back to He goes back to his the Fortress of Solitude, and he actually finds like into his ship. And there's a few suits. There's a few different ones. There's a black and a silver one, but then he finds like the brighter version of his OG suit. And he says, "Take one of those."
Is it like Into the Spider-Verse where he walks in and all the Spider-Man suits are there?
Sort of, but a lot more high tech and not in his mother's shed's basement.
How dare you disrespect May Parker like that?
Is the final battle I think it's the scene where Batman's just kind of like, this wasn't a part of the plan, and Alfred tells him like, no, but this is what a team looks like, kind of thing, and he's like, oh, okay, because I think that's the point where Wonder Woman steps up and kind of takes the lead, because I think that was his whole point when they had their fight earlier in the movie. He just was trying to get her to lead because he doesn't believe that he's a leader. That's why I think that's the whole reason why he wants Superman back, because he knows he's not Superman, never be him, and the team needs Clark, the world needs him.
Yeah. Well, I like that he pulled a 180 in this film, where like in the last one was like, we need to massacre this son of a bitch, but in the other side, he's like, nah, man, I was wrong. We need him. Like we're so wrong. Oh my God, we're all gonna die. We need this man.
Which leads to another one of the stranger lines, which I believe all the strange lines in the film come out of Affleck, which is when he and Superman are like back in front of each other. They even like, it looks like they're remaking the Batman vs Superman poster where they're like standing in front of each other, and he goes like, "Well, you brought me back even though you don't like me." And he goes, "I don't."
He's like,
not
"Well, I
like you.
Yeah, he's like, I don't not.
I don't not like you."
Well, also, you got a demigod right in front of you. Do you really want to piss him off? Because the last time y'all like had
He had no
words,
problem
you had a spear in
doing
his
that
throat,
in the
in his
last one.
face.
He had no problem doing that in the last one. So
Does he
that's
have
why-
the spear of destiny with him? No.
I don't know. It's a strange like quippy line. So they're fighting, and then Flash and Superman kind of split up to save family, and we see Flash saving that little Russian family that we saw, and we see Superman like carrying like a whole building, kind of like to show the difference. Which
What's called? I like how with Superman, I like how he goes up to Batman and says, "How can I help?" Like that's very much the core of their dynamic in the comics, in a sense of like Superman knows like, hey, you're not the Batman's the leader, but it's like, what role do I need to fill right now? Because I can basically do everything. What do y'all need? Like, do you need me to be the muscle? You need me to go save people? You need me to separate these boxes? You need me to go run and get us some food? Like, what do y'all need? What's up? He's the friend that you want when you're down.
Yeah. So when Flash finally saves that Russian family and like takes him in a truck and like tells the little girl like hang on and takes him away, leads to probably my favorite like comedy line in the film, which is when he just looks at the family and goes Dostoevsky and like leaves.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's really stupid, but so. Disvaya is like I think it's like Disvaya or Disvanaya or something. It's like the Russian word for goodbye, and it's like one of the most common like Russian words. But Dostoevsky is like this Russian writer. So I don't know, yeah. So he meant to say something, but he said like something else. But it's same. It's very stupid, but I think it's so funny how I don't know. It's
very on brand for the Flash, I think, in this. This movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. I like that.
It fits his humor because I didn't really consider it the first time that I saw it, but then when I was watching it again last night, I was like, he said Dostoevsky, like, and it's a very stupid joke, but I think it's really funny.
Hey, he's the nail on the head.
Yeah. So they return. They take down Steppenwolf. Really, really cool action scene where I like how they're all detaining him. I like that scene where Wonder Woman is like walking and like steps on the sword and like picks it up. Like that was a cool scene. Batman again doing nothing, and so
that's
again doing nothing, and then Superman kind of like laser eyes him until finally he's done. They pretty much beat him the same way they spoilers defeated it in It Chapter 2. You notice that?
Oh God, that's true. That's where so It Chapter 2 is a shot-for-shot remake of Justice League.
Sure. Sure. They pretty much make same thing with the ending of Lion King where they make the hyenas eat him. Like it's the same thing. It's just like, oh, you fear them. Okay, they're gonna take you down now. So yeah, they get him, and then what happens?
There was so before the parademons eat him, when they're trying to separate the three boxes, Ray Fisher's like, like, all right, let's do this. I love that scene, that interaction between Cyborg and Superman. Because you see Cyborg's face, and that's the best face acting. That's weird. Face acting I've seen from Cyborg in the whole film, because Superman asked him, will it be blowback? He's like, oh yeah. Think we can take it? I hope so. I don't want to die. And you see just like Cyborg's like scared, like, I don't want to die. And Superman says, me neither. I like being alive. And Superman pushes it and separates the boxes, and then you see them on the floor and they're laughing, and Superman's just like, I'd rather be dead. They're joking. And Cyborg's like, my toes hurt. I don't get the physics of that, but my toes hurt. And it's so nice.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing because I think that's the scene that like hit me. Like, all right, Cyborg's a kid.
Yeah.
Like he's young. Like he's he's a little tormented, but
he's like 20 at most.
Yeah, and I think you forget that because you just see him as this big looming figure, and then you remember, oh yeah, he's a kid.
Yeah.
He's same with Flash, but it kind of doesn't hit him on the heel. He goes like, I don't want to die. And even though he already feels like he's gone, most of him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I forgot. I almost forgot about that scene. I'm so glad you reminded me of that. So that's good.
So Amanda, so what do you think of the whole how they finally beat him, teamwork and all that jazz? To put down Steppenwolf.
Probably one of the cool, again, Batman, nowhere to be found, not doing a single thing, but he's just watching this team he put together do the damn thing, right? You see Superman do something I don't think he did even in Man of Steel. You can correct me, I just don't remember. He uses his breath. I don't think he did that in any of the other films. And he gets Steppenwolf's what was it called, an axe kind of thing?
Yeah.
He freezes it, and that's just enough for Wonder Woman to to jump at it and break it. And I think it's kind of out of the two people that would be the ones to take this guy down, it should be them two, right? Because he's basically a god himself, and Wonder Woman is half god. It's really nice to see everybody come together, and they kind of just unknowingly know what to do to get the parademons to attack him.
Yeah.
And then you just have the Flash kind of laying down, paint me like one of your French girls, the whole scene, watching it go down. And he's just laying there watching with amazement. I thought that was really funny too.
Oh man, I forgot about that part.
Like Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park.
Superman is just standing there. Everyone's standing there looking like heroes. And then the Flash is just laying there, thrown on the ground.
Did we win?
Yeah.
So that leads into the finale where they tie up a lot of loose ends. Cyborg starts getting better control of his powers. Barry finally gets a job as a crime lab. The crime lab. Wonder Woman is now more public and talking to kids, helping with shit going wrong. Bruce is like, hey, Wayne Manor, it's gonna be the Hall of Justice. Clark, is doing his thing. We get the iconic, and then who am I missing? Arthur goes back to Atlanta. I don't think we get one of those closing shots for Arthur, do we?
He's kind of like Dolphin, going in, out of the water, and then he just kind of leaves. I like the Hall of Justice scene. I think that's one of the lines that I really like when he goes, big table right there, 6 chairs, and Diana goes, but room for more. Room for more. Which hopefully we might see that happen, but probably not.
We will. You all keep talking. I'll be right back in a second.
Sure. And then there's there's a scene with Clark, and he's walking around and he's wearing his just street clothes, and he opens up and he shows the symbol, which brings up one of the weird things that, again, I try not to be too picky, even though I'm being really picky on this one. But so remember in Batman vs Superman where he dies, and then there's a paper that says Superman dies, and then the little corner is local reporter Clark Kent dies as well the same night. Do they have to make another paper Superman comes back to life, local reporter Clark Kent also back from back to life? Does he go back to work? Does he stay on the farm? What? What goes on from there?
That is probably one of the biggest questions I also had too. Was just okay, it's not what is it called? Not suspicious at all that Clark also returns around the same time as Superman. But then I guess the way everybody treats Clark at the Daily Planet is very it couldn't be Clark. There's no way he's Superman. It's Clark. He's not capable of all of this power. And
it's no, he wears glasses. That's not him. Totally. Yeah, there's a weird thing where so I have this weird theory about Superman where I think it's weird. I think so he grows up in this farm in Smallville, obviously, a little southern. Wouldn't it make sense that he had a southern accent, and when he was Superman he didn't? Wouldn't that help to hide his identity? Wouldn't that's Superman, that's not Clark Kent, he's got an accent, he's got
a twang. That's Superman doesn't.
I would hate that.
You would hate that?
I would be livid. What do you mean he has twang? Get that shit out of his mouth. No iteration of him has ever had twang.
No, but wouldn't it make sense? He grows up in a farm. And,
but he's not. But he's not. Okay, look. He grows up in Kansas, not Alabama or Mississippi.
Yeah,
okay.
but still,
he plays the guitar, not the banjo.
Okay, but just consider this. Try to consider. We've seen different versions of Superman. Let's consider this. So in order to hide his identity better, it's not just his glasses, okay? Because look, we make a lot of jokes about like, oh, how do they not recognize him? He has glasses. Have you ever seen any of your friends who wear glasses normally without their glasses? You don't recognize them.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Yeah, but wouldn't it make more sense? Like, oh, he's got a twang when he's talking normal, and then when he's Superman, he doesn't. Like, wouldn't that be way more cool? Like,
but you would alienate. Okay, look. I'm gonna be honest with you. That would alienate so many people, and that would piss even me off, and that's saying something. I like Justice League. That's saying something.
Okay, I don't know. It's kind of like when they made that change in the Joker movie where he can't control his laugh. Like, that's a cool change. Imagine this. I think it's a good idea.
Disrespectfully disagree.
Yeah, but then again, I think that if Batman was real, he would have like the sunburn here, and then the rest of his face wouldn't. So that probably wouldn't work either.
Give him away.
And the mask tan.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
you got the mask tan.
But,
So that's Justice League. That's where it ends, and we see a little two little after credit scene. One that's like a little race between Flash and Superman, where they have that joke where we gotta get to. What was it, the South or the West, and then
the East Coast.
Like, to the East Coast. To the East Coast, and then Superman's like,
that way.
That way. He's like, oh, my bad. I love that though. I had an idea actually for an alternative version of that scene, where like they're walking or whatever, and like they're talking like, oh yeah, no, I'm pretty fast. Like, no, I am too. I followed you. He's like, no, but like that's my thing. I'm fast. Yeah, I know, but I can keep up with you. Like, you're not the fastest one on the team. And then like, it cuts immediately to them like Flash is like they're both warming up, like stretching, and Superman's like, all right, can I run? Do I have to run or can I fly? And Barry's like, whichever. I'm gonna beat you no matter what.
Yeah.
So then they start and then they race. Like, I think I would like that little competitive jokiness. Like, you want to go? All right, let's go.
Well, Superman ends up bringing the brunch joke back, which kind of like gives like a little PTSD to Barry, which I also liked. And then the other after credit scene is Eisenberg as Luthor and bringing in Deathstroke, who I'm assuming was Joe Manganiello. I mean, give him a chance. And he mentions like, shouldn't we have a league of our own? And that's where it ends. And we hear like in the background Joker saying pass. Poison Ivy saying pass. Just in my mind, I'm seeing like all the villains going like pass.
I'm calling it right now. Cheetah is gonna end up being in the Legion of Doom. I'm calling it right now.
Cheetah is gonna be in the Wonder Woman sequel, right?
Yeah, but I'm willing to bet money that she's gonna pop up in the Legion of Doom. Like, she's gonna be like old and grizzled and be like, I want one more chance at that Amazon bitch, or something like that, or Giganta. Maybe. It'll probably be Giganta.
Yeah. Okay, and that's Justice League. That was 2017's Justice League, which was announced with a sequel in the works when it first came out, and that has not materialized. Closing thoughts on Justice League. I find it's a weird blip in the system, especially in a superhero movie filled world. It's okay. I find the movie to be just okay. I think I don't know. Does it have some good parts? Yes. It has more parts that I don't like that I do like. But it was interesting to revisit it again, even if it has been like a couple of years. I don't think it's aged that well, and I think in the long run it makes no impact. But as a single feature, I don't think it represents Justice League the way that something like Justice League Unlimited or something even like Young Justice did. I think there's a good movie hidden there somewhere. Will it come out with the Snyder Cut? I don't know. I hope it does. I hope it's not the last version of Justice League that we see live action, because these are all great, timeless characters. But I don't know. It was interesting to rewatch it. I don't know if I'll ever rewatch it again, but it was. I am willing to mark it down more as an experiment than like as a full-fledged blockbuster movie. I still maintain that it's okay. I think that's my last thought on it.
Yeah. Amanda, you're up.
Yep.
I think when it first came out, the hype for me was just like, oh hell yeah, this is happening. Like they're finally doing the damn thing. They're gonna finally introduce some of these characters that haven't gotten any screen time at all. And I still kind of feel that way. Like it may not have been the best film out there, but I still think it's one of my favorites. But again, I'm biased. I just like seeing these characters come to life, whether it's a good version or not of the characters. I still think it's really neat to see them on screen and how different they can compare to maybe like the Arrowverse on CW and stuff like that. The Flash from that universe is completely different than the Flash that Ezra Miller delivers, and I just like seeing the differences, and I appreciate anything that they put out because I'm gonna watch it anyways. You can tell me it sucks and I'm gonna watch it. Like you say that Titan sucks, I already watched all of it and I own it. Like I think it's great.
Yeah, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw you tweeting the other day that you were watching the Krypton show.
Yes.
Is
Again,
it good? Or?
Me giving it a chance to Superman, right? I try to introduce myself through the movies or TV shows to ease myself in, and then I'm like, okay, I could read more on this character. Krypton turned out to be really great, and then I was disappointed to find out that shit got canceled. And when I saw the DVD, it said complete season 2 series finale, and so here's me thinking, cool, it got concluded. I'm gonna get a great prequel into like what life before Superman is like on Krypton and before he gets sent off to Earth and stuff. But no, it just stops. It just stops on a cliffhanger and never came back. So thanks, sci-fi, for that.
They might resurrect it for HBO Max. Apparently that's
I was hoping that'd be cool because
they picked up Doom Patrol, so you never know.
Yes.
It's pretty good. I would say watch it. Just, you know, you are going to be disappointed that it just stops.
Okay.
Full cell stop.
Yeah. One more thing. Did you get to see the scene from the Flash show where Ezra Miller shows up as a Flash?
Yes.
I did see that.
Yes.
What do y'all think?
I love it.
I have no context, but I liked it.
So I've watched pretty much everything consistently in the Arrowverse, like all the crossovers, every show that CW puts out, I've seen. So Ezra Miller showing up and meeting Grant Gustin's Barry Allen was just kind of like, at this point in the whole Justice League film, they haven't called the Flash. He does not have a name. He's just, there. But you finally kind of see a bit of how he comes to the name The Flash, because he bumps into Grant Gustin's Barry Allen and he's just like, The Flash, and he's like, the streak, the Flash. He's like, oh, I could rock with that. Like, it's really Ezra Miller's charisma and how he is just funny to see both of them together. And I don't know where the hell that's gonna lead us, but I'm excited.
Yeah. I like that scene. I like how he goes like, "Are you cosplaying me?" Or like,
yeah, he's like, "Whoa, are you a fan?"
Yeah.
Or how they comment on their suits.
Yeah, because they are very different, but I don't know. It's jumping into like a little bit about the show, because I tried to watch Arrow, but I couldn't get into it. I thought all the characters were very, very dull, except for Felicity. I love Felicity. Like when she started popping up, I really liked it. And then I really, really liked the Flash show. I watched it until like season 3 or something. And then I love that episode where he crosses over with Supergirl. That was like a nice thing. But when I saw that Ezra Miller popped up, I was like, okay, I need to watch. I watched the crossover. Like I had very little context, but I really liked the crossover, and that because even Lucifer ended up popping up in that. So there was so much happening. Eddie, closing thoughts on Justice League. When we did the top 10 that year, was that your number 2 or your number 1?
It was tied for number 1. It was that one, and then Batman and Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that's right.
The reason for that is because 2017 was the year I graduated, and there was a lot of turmoil that year as far as what was that the year I graduated? Or was it leading into graduation?
I was there with you, I remember.
No, well, anyway, the reason being was because it felt like a breath of fresh air after like what had been a long year of trying to get your degree, and then this and that and the other, and just all the stuff. But no, so as far as Justice League was concerned, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved the hell out of it. I understand people like have opinions about it, strong, sometimes positives, mostly negative opinions about it. And I'll be honest with you, I'll share something. It had been a while since I had seen this movie because I was kind of down on it because everyone I know bombs the film every time it's brought up. Because everyone knows I'm a DC fanboy. I make no qualms about it. I have all the shirts. I have shoes that are DC.
Oh yeah, the Joker shoes, I remember.
Yeah. So I was down on the film for a bit. I didn't want to rewatch it. But rewatching it to prep for this, I was like, you know what? No, I really fucking like this film. You get to have your opinion about it. That's fair enough. And the thing is, a lot of the people that give the negative connotation always go, well, with the Avengers this or this or this. This is not the Avengers. This is not Marvel. This is not Kevin Feige. This is something Disney. On its own. Yeah, this is not Disney. This is not, take it on its own as you will. And bear in mind, I thought this film was good, funny, I liked it, with two distinct directors not clashing, but trying to mesh together because of a family tragedy from Zack Snyder. He had an original vision for this film. It was supposed to be almost 3 hours long with a lot more stuff. Maybe we would have gotten these long, drawn-out intros to Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg. Maybe we would have gotten a little more out of Steppenwolf, more backstory. Maybe we would have even seen the cameo from Darkseid. Maybe Commissioner Gordon would have played a bigger role. Better action scenes, better cinematography or different cinematography.
More Batman.
More Batman. It would have been different. Unfortunately, life got in the way, and Zack Snyder rightfully had to take a step back, leaving the studio in a tough predicament. Do you move forward in a direction that your old guy was going with, or do you bring in a guy that has a proven track record? Which they still interfered with Whedon, even though he has a record of, hey, I can do two team-up movies. Both of mine made over $1 billion. I got this. But also, how much more do you want to shell out for reshoots? It was a jumbled mess of a production, which was hampered by tragedy, which somehow turned out a film that, to me, was still good. It was funny. I enjoyed it. I genuinely like Justice League, and I'm probably going to be able to rewatch it a lot more now that I'm like, you know what? Nah, fuck those opinions. It's good.
You know what's going to be incredible? The eventual really long documentary they're gonna make on the making of this movie. That's gonna be freaking amazing.
See that? I didn't consider that. They should make a documentary. The making of Justice League.
I mean, there's so much going on. The tragedy with Snyder, the mustache. I mean, you can. There's so much that you can take. We have a little bit of time left for the sense. I want to get like a quick thoughts on what do you think the Snyder Cut that was just announced. What do you think that's going to be like, Amanda? What do you think? What do you hope to see on this?
I'm hoping, like you said, for these characters to be fleshed out a little bit more, the ones that don't have as much background. I'm hoping for more Batman, but that's just me. Because I feel like he could do so much more. He wasn't kicking ass as much. He came out on screen and it was just to brood or say a one-liner and then he was just gone. And then everybody else did a lot of the work. But I'm hoping to get more on Barry Allen and more on Cyborg, because I feel like it's a disservice to those characters. They haven't had their standalone films yet. We got Aquaman, which is cool. We have Wonder Woman. We're gonna get another Wonder Woman, but we still don't know a lot about these other characters who I just really love. So I just want them to have more screen time and more an opportunity for more character development. We see it throughout the film, but I feel like that could be fleshed out more. So that'd be something dope to see.
Really quick, I haven't asked you. What do you think of Robert Pattinson as Batman?
I think it's all right. It's all right. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of his films other than the popular shit like Twilight and Harry Potter or whatever. Yeah. But I hear that he's really great at acting.
Wrong films.
Yeah,
he's a good actor, but you're watching the wrong ones.
Yeah, I hear he's great at acting, so I'm kind of excited to see. I think the way he looks already, he could play a hell of a Bruce Wayne, I'd assume. And I'm just interested to see how he plays Batman when he puts the suit on and how he'll act with that. But I'm just excited. Like I said, anything that they dish out, just because they're putting these characters to life, I'm there. Like, they have my money already. It's secured. They have secured my vote for it.
I'm gonna give you a couple recommendations. Check out these movies. The Rover, that's one. The Rover, Good Time, and The Lighthouse. If you watch those movies, you're gonna look at Robert Pattinson and be like, he's not gonna be great Batman. He's gonna be an amazing Batman.
You're like, what a guy! I wrote all this down.
Thank you. Okay, but yeah, I think he's gonna be great. I think he's gonna be fantastic. Which I don't think Affleck was given enough, but I think him when he's not Batman, when he's Bruce Wayne, when he's wearing like the big suit and the long coat, and he's got like the big chin, because he looks like animated series Batman. And the voice and everything.
That's true. I never thought about that.
He does. He looks like animated series Batman. Eddie, what do you think of Snyder Cut? What do you expect to see?
I expect it. I better fucking be 4 hours long. I better see 4 hours. Also, from what I understand, and bear in mind, again, I'm like habitually like in the newsfeed on this particular film. I was following every single story as it was coming out. Apparently, it was almost like a Jokered version of Batman in this film. Like, they shot a lot of scenes, but unfortunately, they were too dark, brooding, or didn't like fit within the narrative or in the tone for them to be able to use them. So there is a lot of Batman footage. There's a lot that hasn't been edited or hasn't been CGI'd that they haven't thrown in. Yeah. So I'm thinking for the Snyder Cut, they're going to include a lot more Batman sequences. Maybe not necessarily action, but definitely a lot more Batman scenes. The Snyder Cut, I expect it to be its own version. I think this is the first time we're getting, to the best of my knowledge, which is limited, I think this is the first time that we're getting a full-on, like, a second version of a major blockbuster film from a completely separate director from the original, in that aspect. You know what I mean? Like, there's no Avengers, Steven Spielberg version. Like, that doesn't exist. But for the first time, to the best of my knowledge, we're getting a major blockbuster with a second version of it. That might be completely different tonally, writing, experience, everything. I'm looking forward to it. I still really enjoy the original Justice League, but if the Snyder Cut comes forward and it's amazing, I'm gonna love both of them. HBO Max, you have my money. Summer 2021.
I was gonna tell you something. When they announced that he was gonna do the Snyder Cut and that's real, that it's going to be done, and that they're gonna throw so much money at it, it reminded me of the story of when Richard Donner made the first Superman movie, and then he made the second one, and then they kicked him out in the middle of making the second one, and he had shot all this footage and they never used it, and they used a different director, and then out of nowhere, a VHS tape popped out that said Superman 2, the Donner Cut, and that was like all of those scenes that he had cut included into that with no effects, with green screen. And it was such a weird thing, because that was like the first time that something like that came out. And I don't know if this is just history like repeating itself, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like it's such a weird thing, because of course it's not planned, of course, but it's so weird that it is with the same character that is with a director of a Superman-y film. Something like this that is happening again. There's something quite I think it's a weird thing, but there's something quite special about another cut coming out of a movie featuring the same character. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see how that's gonna come out. I refer to this movie as an experiment, and I think this is going to be like a second experiment on this. If it comes out even better, I'll give it all the credit in the world, because like Amanda very, very clearly said, these are great characters, and we'll keep dishing our money to see them. So they do have something that manages to make us keep coming back to them. So that's Justice League. That's our show. That's our thing. Anything else any of you would like to add before we close?
God, nothing, Amanda?
No, just thanks for having me. It's been cool talking about superheroes.
Thank you for coming. You should come again and we can discuss more.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe.
If you're listening to us via podcast, please subscribe. We'd really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to hear more about our thoughts on movies, go to therollback.net. I've been Eddie.
I've been Chema.
I've been Amanda, and this was The Rollback.